The tension in today's story runs deeper than ever, because even though James's father stands firmly against their love, James and Diep have made a choice, one that could either unite hearts or tear their world apart. After years of waiting, enduring judgment, and fighting quiet battles in the shadows, the two have finally decided, no more hesitation. From a serene hilltop proposal bathed in sunset gold to a secret plan for a humble wedding beneath the banyan tree, their hearts begin to move in sync. But behind that calm surface, a greater storm brews, one that will test not only their love but the very meaning of family. Stay with this story until the end to witness the moment when love dares to defy pride and tradition. The phone buzzed sharply, slicing through the thick silence of James's office. He glanced at the screen. Father. A sigh escaped him before he pressed accept. Branch report done yet? Came the familiar, commanding voice of Mr. Son. James flipped through a pile of papers. Almost, he said, but then, as always, the real reason for the call emerged. And what's this nonsense I hear, that you're still planning that wedding with Diep? James froze mid-page, his grip tightening until veins showed along his wrist. Dad, he said carefully, we're not giving up. Not giving up? His father scoffed. You think this is some kind of romantic drama? That woman's divorced, she's dragging along a child from who knows where, and you're letting her trick you into this fantasy. James's jaw set, his tone steady. You've never even met her, Dad. You're judging her based on gossip. I've heard enough to know she's not fit for you. There it was again, the invisible wall between them. Years of control, years of unspoken resentment, years of a father believing he always knew best. James forced a breath. Diep and I verified everything about Nye's adoption. There's no secret, no hidden motive. She's just a little girl who needed love. Love, Mr. Sun spat. Love doesn't fill a stomach, James. I didn't work my whole life so you could throw away your career chasing sentimental dreams. The words struck deep. James's voice cracked slightly as he replied, I'm not throwing anything away, Dad. I'm choosing someone who believes in me, not my title. Silence. Then, in a tone cold enough to freeze steel. I won't forbid you, but don't expect my blessing. James stood motionless, the phone still pressed to his ear. His reflection in the glass wall looked like a stranger, tired eyes, clenched fists, heart weighed down. Outside, storm clouds gathered across the horizon, heavy and unmoving, a mirror of his father's pride. The battle at home. That evening, tension simmered inside the Sun family's mansion. The chandelier cast fractured light over polished marble, glinting coldly off Mr. Sun's face as he paced. She's uneducated, divorced, bringing a random child into my family. This is shameful, he barked. Mrs. Huyen, his wife, placed her teacup down gently, her voice calm but sharp. You talk about shame. But what about love, son? What about our son's happiness? Happiness, he snapped, eyes blazing. Happiness doesn't last when reality hits. Do you want him to suffer like we did? Her hands trembled, but her voice held firm. We suffered because of poverty, not because of love. Don't confuse the two. He slammed his palm on the table. The sound cracked like thunder. I built all this from nothing. And now you want me to watch him ruin it all for a woman who doesn't belong in our world? Mrs. Huyen stood, eye to eye with him. Maybe she doesn't need to understand his world, she said softly. Maybe she's helping him build a new one. For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the ticking clock dared to move. If I had followed my heart back then, Mr. Sun muttered, we'd have starved. And if you had followed your heart, she whispered, maybe we would have been poor, but happy. He turned away, chest rising and falling heavily. You've given us wealth, son, she added, but you can't buy kindness for our child. He grabbed his coat and stormed out, the slam of the door echoing like a cannon shot through the hall. Mrs. Huyen sank into the sofa, tears forming. Whatever happens, she whispered into the emptiness, Mom believes in you, James. A week later, James's truck rumbled up a dirt road lined with tall grass and wildflowers. Diep sat beside him, her hair dancing in the wind. This place is gorgeous, she said, smiling wide. I thought you'd like it, James replied. I used to come here when I needed clarity. They reached the top, a windswept plateau overlooking a quiet valley where a village shimmered under the sunset. Cooking smoke drifted lazily, children's laughter carried on the breeze. It's like a painting, Diep whispered. James took her hand and led her to a flat rock. My father's against us, he said finally. And I don't think he'll change his mind anytime soon. I know, she murmured. He doesn't think I'm enough for you. He's wrong, James said, voice breaking with emotion. You're the only one who's ever made me feel whole. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't want you to fight your family for me. This isn't about fighting him, James said. It's about standing for us. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Diep gasped. James, he knelt down. This isn't my first proposal, he said softly. But this time, I'm not asking you to think. I'm asking you to believe. Her hands flew to her mouth, tears spilling freely. After everything, you still want to marry me? She laughed through tears. I turned you down twice because I was scared you'd regret it. I'll only regret not doing this sooner, he said, slipping the ring onto her finger. For a moment, the world went still. The wind, the birds, even the distant hum of the valley seemed to pause. The ring caught the last of the sunlight, glowing like a promise. It's beautiful, she whispered. He stood, pulling her close. We'll marry soon, Deep. I don't care if it's small, just the two of us under the sky. She hesitated. Your father, he'll come around, James said softly. And even if he doesn't, I'll still choose you. She rested her forehead on his chest. Then let's do it, she said quietly. Let's get married. The next morning, James woke early. Golden sunlight spilled across the wooden floor. Deep slept peacefully beside him, her hand resting over the ring. He stepped outside to the balcony, inhaling the cool air. Below, the village stirred to life. A rooster crowed, a motorbike started, someone called out selling bread. James dialed a number. I need you to find simple wedding venues, he told his assistant. Soon, within weeks. When Deep came to breakfast, she found him at the table, laptop open, calendar lit up. We need to decide something, he said gently, her eyes widened. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just don't want to wait anymore. Wait for what? For our wedding, she froze. But your father, he'll never approve. He might even cut you off. James smiled faintly. Then he'll miss seeing his son's happiest day. Tears glimmered in her eyes. You really mean it? He nodded, taking her hand. We'll keep it small. Simple. Just us, our closest friends, and NHI. I want her to see what forever looks like. Deep blinked rapidly, overwhelmed. Are you ready for the consequences? He laughed softly. I've been ready since the day I saw you teaching NHI to draw on the porch. That was the moment I realized, this is home. That afternoon, they returned to the hill. Deep carried a notebook, pages filled with sketches and dreams. We could have the ceremony here, she said, pointing at the old banyan tree. Look how its roots hold the earth, it's like a blessing, James smiled. It's perfect. Real, she grinned, eyes sparkling. I've dreamed of this for too long to leave it to chance. Then, quieter. But James, are we doing this out of love or defiance? He paused. Both, maybe. But mostly love. Deep nodded slowly. Then we do it soon. No more waiting. Back in the city, Mr. Sun sat in his study, the tea beside him gone cold. He's not answering my calls, he muttered. You pushed him too hard, Mrs. Huyen said softly. He's throwing away everything for that woman. Or maybe, she replied, he's finally living for himself. He turned sharply. He doesn't understand family name, business, reputation, these things matter. Mrs. Huyen's eyes softened. What matters more, your pride, or his happiness? He said nothing. She whispered, you once said you'd do anything to see him smile. Now that he's smiling, you can't bear it, because it's not because of you. Mr. Sun looked away, jaw tight. He's planning a wedding, isn't he? She nodded. Soon. He exhaled heavily. Then let him. But not with my blessing, Mrs. Huyen didn't argue. Then don't expect him to ask for it. In their small farmhouse, Deep stitched her white dress by hand, simple linen, soft, elegant. Nearby, little Nhi strung daisies into a crown. Mommy, she said brightly, when's your wedding? Soon, sweetheart. Will Grandpa come? Deep hesitated, then smiled gently. Maybe not. But that's okay. The people who love us will be there. Nhi placed the daisy crown on her head. You look like a princess. James appeared in the doorway, arms dusty from work. She's more than a princess, he said. She's my future, Deep blushed. Don't say things like that in front of her, Nhi giggled. Say it again, Daddy. He knelt and hugged them both. All right, he whispered. You both are my whole world. That night, beneath a sky thick with stars, they sat on the porch, hands entwined. We'll tell everyone tomorrow, James said quietly. Our friends, your neighbors, the workers, we'll make it official. They'll talk, Deep murmured. Your father's friends, the company board, let them, James said softly. They'll see one day that love doesn't need permission. She leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. Then it's settled, she whispered. We'll hold our wedding soon. The night deepened. Crickets sang, the scent of pomelo blossoms drifted through the air. Two hearts beat in rhythm with a promise that already felt sacred, because even before the wedding, they had chosen something greater. A life built not on approval, but on love.